All right, we are joined by FS1 NBA analyst Jim Jackson. Jim, what do you think? LeBron and Philly, is that a good fit?
I don't know. First of all, the last segment you had, I don't know. I'm stepping into the fire right now with all this Kyrie stuff and everybody getting heated. But Chris and I talked about the Philly situation because there is some talk that LeBron says that he wants to play off the ball. I think as you get older in your career, you want to work smarter, not harder. You want to make it so now mentally, I think you can play the kind of game and have the kind of fun that you want on the back end of your career. Does that translate in Philly? You got to think about the components that are already in place or won't be in place. When LeBron James goes to a team, one thing he demands is that he has shooters on the perimeter. Well, right now, Philly has a quandary because J.J. Redick is up. Okay, who do you have? Covington is up and down in his shooting. Absolutely. So if you were to have a LeBron James go and play off the ball in Philly, you don't have a lot of perimeter shooting right now. Mm-hmm. And in today's game, you got to be able to have guys that knock down jump shots. So I think in theory it sounds great in regards to LeBron because of Rich Paul, Ben Simmons, but systematically, does it work? It makes sense if LeBron is playing off the ball. Can you go out and get other free agents that complement Ben Simmons, Embiid, and LeBron that can knock down shots?
But why? I think you're right from the standpoint of once they put that together, there might be guys who are shooters who say, look at what they got set up there. They might go on a run and could win a couple championships. I want to be a part of that. So because of Simmons being, we think it'd be rookie of the year, right? 18, 8, and 8. Embiid, what he can do. And then LeBron. We just saw LeBron with a bad Cleveland Cavaliers team go all the way to the finals, right? So you would say you add these two up-and-coming stars, and from LeBron's standpoint, long-term, they might carry me down the road because their stars shoot up. So I like it. I think that it does work.
Dario Saric is, a pretty good shooter.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'd be able to keep Bellinelli,
that's a
Ersan
problem.
Ilyasova, and guys like that. But I think when we think of LeBron, and rightly so, but when we think of LeBron going somewhere, we think of everybody playing the way his teams have always played, him with the ball, and then shooters around him on the perimeter. I think this would be totally different. I think Simmons would have the ball. I think, to your point, Embiid is obviously in the post and out, and LeBron is on the wings, on the elbows, sometimes in the post, moving without the ball. I think it would be totally different. Now, the question is, can he really make that adjustment? Mm-hmm. Even if he wants to mentally, you've been playing a certain way your whole life. If things go bad, is he going to take the ball from Simmons and start doing it his own way? So there are some complications, but like Chris Paul made the adjustment in Houston, I think LeBron could make the adjustment.
See, and I just don't see LeBron James making that adjustment when this has been who you've been since you've put a basketball in your hand. You've had it in your hand. You've initiated the offense. You've been the offense. And so to say now all of a sudden, yeah, you've developed a better jump shot, but playing off the ball and allowing Ben Simmons to facilitate to you looking as though you're a spot-up, that's not LeBron James.
Well, not a spot-up shooter.
I get and then, like, creature of habit, like, the game on the line, he's gonna go back to what he knows.
And you know what it's gotten you? It's gotten you 3 and 6. So is that what you want?
That's a great point.
I'm serious. It hasn't gotten you what you want.
Look, LeBron dominating the ball with a bunch of shooters around him. You're gonna be a really good team, but you're not gonna beat the Warriors and other 5-man teams that move the ball. So maybe he should be open.
And Jim, what about the matchups with the size that Philadelphia would have against the Warriors? Wouldn't that be an advantage?
Well, it would be. Depends on how you use it. Keep in mind, like when Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, on the back end of their careers, they had something to go to. Even Kevin Durant. You can put Kevin Durant in the mid-post, a high post, and he can operate in there. LeBron James, because for so long he never really developed that. His second year in Miami, he got on the post, okay, and he played extremely well. And I thought, okay, that's another level to his game as he gets older. As you know, you got to kind of tweak some things. But because you don't have that in-between game, now it takes away from what you can do as you get older. If you get to a team like a Philadelphia, okay, that is structured in a way where maybe you do have some shooters, maybe you don't, but you want to put LeBron in different positions, where do you put him? Okay? In the post, yes. Okay, but now you got Embiid, so you're going to put Embiid outside. Okay, so now you got to play with that a little bit more. I do think there's some free agents that are out there like Lou Williams, Danny Green, even Trevor Ariza, guys like that are open in the open market that you can start to structure around. But the question is always going to come back to LeBron James has always dominated the ball. We know that. At some point, he's going to want the ball in his hands. How does that affect Ben Simmons, who's not a shooter, okay, and Embiid? Because that's the point. I can see him and Embiid running the 3-5 pick and roll.
Yep.
That works perfectly. But the other components, especially
I'll say this, though. And I felt this way before, if LeBron is going to take the ball out of Simmons' hands for the most part, then if I'm Philadelphia, I'd rather go after Kawhi Leonard or even a Paul George. Because I think George would be a great fit because you don't have to worry about him handling the ball and all that.
But
the only
Paul
thing
George
that's
get
made
you
me
where you want to go, though.
I think they'd be a great team. I think they'd have a chance. Look, I'm with you. I would like to see LeBron go there under the determination that he's going to play off the ball. But even if he says he'll play off the ball, there is that tension of will he really do it?
How good are the Sixers if LeBron goes there?
I think they would be my favorite in the East. I mean, to get to the championship, and I just think that they match up with the Warriors. If you're trying to beat them shooting threes and whatnot, but they would have a hard time with a small lineup against those bigger guys in Philly. That's why I would like it. I'm not saying it would be automatic that he would win, but I think he would be closer with a chance to win. And I saw this team, make some big strides last year. We talked about it. When Embiid went down, they won 15 in a row. I don't care who you're playing in the NBA. 15 in a row is 15 in a row with just Simmons and no Embiid. It tells you about something. Tells you about Simmons' leadership. Tells you about, how he grew up and didn't just crawl into a ball because he lost his big man. I like that. And then you add LeBron and all his experience to those guys. Those guys become better because they got a guy that they know that they can count on. I just think there's no perfect scenario for LeBron, perfect. So if you look at it and you have to massage something, I'd rather massage some young and upcoming stars who have a big upside.
To your point, let's look at some of the other scenarios. If LeBron goes to the Lakers, Lonzo Ball presents the same problems that Ben Simmons would. And although he's just not as good as Simmons, he needs the ball in his hands too. So you're talking about LeBron being off the ball. If you get rid of Lonzo and you bring in Chris Paul, same thing. Chris Paul's going to have the ball. So LeBron's going to be playing off the ball. If he goes to Houston, James Harden.
That's what I'm saying.
Even if he goes to Boston, Boston has a system. I don't think they would just build around LeBron and have him create for everybody. I think he would still fit in and be the leading scorer, obviously, but he would fit in. So I think wherever he goes, it's not going to be the typical LeBron does everything and everybody plays off.
I think a lot of it has to do with his trust with who he has alongside of him. You mentioning a Chris Paul, he trusts Chris Paul with the ball in his hands. I don't know.
Will Chris Paul be there when it's crunch time at the end? Because
that's a huge.
But before Chris Paul got hurt, he showed that he could play. So he took, I think, a step and he answered that question.
But all the playoffs the last few years.
But this year before he got hurt, but you always got to have him. To your point too about having the ball in his hands. When you build a team around LeBron James, that's what you're going to have to deal with. I mean, you're going to have to deal at some point or another. Unless something happens dramatically, athletically, that he goes down, he's always going to have the ball. So I think it's a great point that you have, Chris, that no matter where he goes, if you have a point guard, that's why particularly when he was in Miami, Chalmers really wasn't a point guard.
Right.
Dwayne Wade really wasn't. Finally, when he got with Kyrie, was one that dominated, and we saw what happened. Yep. He got off the ball.
And then Kyrie left.
Exactly.
So that's the challenge of having LeBron, and like you say, he's going to always have the ball.
I like to have that problem, though.
Oh, yeah.
I like to have that problem.
Exactly.
To try to figure it out by having the best player on my team.
You asked how good would the 76ers be. I think they would be the favorites to come out of the East.
They come out of the East.
Oh,
and they beat the Warriors.
I don't know. I don't know if they beat the Warriors.
I think they could. I mean, we see how the season played out. But let me say this quickly. Ben Simmons, when did Philadelphia have a lot of success against Boston? When T.J. McConnell was running the point and Ben Simmons was off the ball.
true. Exactly.
So even though he can't shoot, there's other ways to play off the ball.
But it was decision making too, because you got to understand that Ben Simmons is a hybrid point guard. He didn't play point guard. Magic Johnson played point guard since high school, so he understood how to make critical decisions in late game situations.
All right.
Ben Simmons didn't.
Guys, we have to wrap this up because Jim has to get back to class.